All right, guys, everybody, welcome to the podcast for Got Mortgages with Fund and Flips. My name's Santi Rodriguez. Welcome, everyone. We got a great guest here today, Willie Stevens, a.k.a. Will.
Yes.
Will, welcome.
I appreciate it.
I thank you for coming on today. And let's talk a little bit about what you do for a living. You know, you got this great company. I've been doing some stuff with you since 2025. We met through a networking group, right?
Yes.
And it was a networking group for us to increase
Yes.
real estate development, right?
True indeed.
So
true indeed.
the name of your company is Transform Group.
Yes.
So how did you come up? Tell everyone how you came up with that name, the Transform Group.
Well, actually, it came from church. Actually, we had a men's group called Transform Men.
Okay.
And we would meet on Mondays, and it was just all men. Every Monday, we would average about 350 to 400 men, all nationalities, all age groups, from, you're talking about 14-year-olds to the oldest gentleman was about 83, 84.
Got it.
And it was about transforming your life, the four quadrants of life, which is the spiritual, the financial, the relational side of, just with God and with family and friends, and then the physical side, getting yourself in better shape and just creating better men and better leaders.
Okay.
So just transforming.
Gotcha.
And so for us, we kind of took it and went on the real estate side, because when you're into real estate, you're always about transforming someone's dreams, whether it's building a new home, whether it's renovation, whatever it is, you're somehow transforming someone's life.
Wow.
In a positive way.
That's amazing. So when I first heard of Transform Group, I got to tell you what resonated for me. Meeting you and meeting your team, is I thought about it like a transformer, the toys, and you got all these pieces and you got all the parts to make the big guy, and that's what I thought about. So that's really cool to understand the background to, how you came up with the name, and it's really deep. So, it goes down deep about what you do, and, you spoke about real estate and how the passion is,
Yes.
so tell me how you started in real estate. What happened there?
Interesting story.
Okay.
So at the time I was working 9 to 5, working for the railroad, and got into property management. This is like 2010. Got into property management, was managing 33 three-family properties between Newark and Elizabeth.
Wow.
And so you're dealing with 99 different personalities, 33 personalities of owners, that mixture of headaches, right? And but it was cool. It just taught me a lot about the business. But what I learned in watching and seeing this from the management side, the property management side, was, okay, how can I translate this into, number one, being able to treat my clients better, because you had some good owners, some good landlords, and you had some who were horrible, who didn't want to take care of anything. And it was like, my thing is always about serving and how can we do better, how can we help people. And so looking at what they were doing, I said, well, if they're on this side of it, why not get into the real estate game and start creating my own portfolio as well.
Nice.
And so through that, it was probably about, I did property management from 2010 to 2016, somewhere around there. And then 2017, a good friend of mine was saying, why don't you get into the real estate game of flipping or wholesaling? And I said, you know what? I spoke with my wife, and we had a conversation probably for about 3 days of, should we do it? Should we not? And we decided to jump into it. So, and I didn't even get into wholesale. I jumped right into flipping.
Wow. Yes.
Which most people tell you, go into wholesaling first.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you get your feet a little wet.
Yes.
And you get some capital behind you, and you jump right into the big boy. You said, I'm going straight to
I'm
flipping.
Going straight in, man.
But what's good is you had some management behind you.
Yes.
So when you first started, did you see pitfalls? Did you have a mentor at the time?
Yeah, so going into flipping, I had the project, the property management side of things, which was cool, but having an understanding, that's being able to deal with the clients and dealing with tenants.
Right.
But now you're talking about having an understanding of how do you build a home or how do you renovate a home. And those pitfalls, right, of not you always pay for knowledge. Right. So that's what they always say. No matter what field, you're paying for knowledge. So getting into the flipping side of things, I did not have the knowledge. So I wound up, hiring contractors and you wind up sometimes overpaying because you don't have a good understanding, and you're learning as you go along.
Wow.
So that was part of the process. And, at times, be honest, at times kind of getting ripped off and, you learn that real fast. And that in turn led me to go out and get my GC license and get a better understanding and start now being able to control that side of construction and doing the things.
So you went from project management, died right into fix and flip.
Yeah.
Hit some bumps in the road, it
Yes,
sounds like,
yes.
and learning the process. So when you're talking to the viewers out there, what would you recommend? Because everybody isn't going to jump and go get their GC license.
Yeah,
what would be some advice you would give somebody who's starting out flipping?
So if you're going to start out flipping, I would definitely advise, number one, get someone who can mentor you, right? Get someone who can help you. Don't just jump in and not have an understanding, because at the end of the day, it is a business, right? You have your money on the line, and you have expenses that you might not even realize or recognize. And if you don't understand what it takes to actually renovate a home or build a home, have someone help you, gain some knowledge. Nowadays with you got YouTube for everything. You got TikTok. You got all of these streams and ways of finding out how to do things. So I would definitely advise you to, definitely do your homework, get as much knowledge as you can, and just do, step by step. So maybe you can, what we call JVs, a joint venture with someone, where that may be someone who's more experienced, and you can invest with them and start learning the business that way. Different ways, but definitely do your homework. Have an understanding of what you're getting into, and be in a position to learn.
And do you think that had you have done that, would you have hit the same pitfalls, or that would have helped and alleviate a lot of that if you would have did a joint venture, or even did some? I mean, back then TikTok and YouTube wasn't like it is today. Yeah. I could imagine.
No,
but
absolutely not what you have today.
But with a JV partner, that would have helped a lot.
Absolutely.
And that's one of the keys and a focus that you have, because with the Transform Group, you are looking for opportunities to bring people in and teach them the business through a joint venture, and depending on how much they want to put into a project, financially, time-wise, they could reap the benefits of not only making some money, because it's almost like paid training, right? You're getting paid to learn, which is great.
Which is a great situation. And then allows you, like I said, so those pitfalls, you don't run into them, because now you have an experienced team to be able to help you as well. So a smart move. So we do what we call joint ventures, JV situations, where we don't even call them investors, we call them partners, because you are partnering with us to learn the experience, but also to be able to make money at the same time. And that's the key, is being able to do both, right? You want to be able to learn, but at the same time, we're here to make money as well.
Awesome. So now with the Transform Group, let's dive into that. People don't know the opportunity that I've had to sit with you and partners, teammates of the Transform Group. So let's break down the segments of the company and everything you do within the Transform Group. Talk a little bit about that.
Oh, wow, multifaceted company, right? So we call it one-stop shopping. So within the organization, we have the construction side, which is, with me and my GC license, we have what we call S&S home remodeling. And that company goes out and do the renovations, ground-up construction, whatever it takes, whatever's needed. So that's one avenue and one facet of the company. Then from there, you have what we call the wholesale division, which is where I should have started when I got into this business, right? But the wholesale division, that's, acquisition side, and their job is to go out and to acquire properties off market, whether it's going to be someone who maybe have lost a husband, maybe it's death in the family, someone lost a job, whatever the case or whatever the reason for the distress, we go out and, and actually get the deals off market. So with that side of it, on the wholesale division, we can either keep the properties, or we can wholesale them out to other investors who are looking for some fix and flip deals. So that's another avenue. And then we have what we call the disposition side, and their job is to be able to sell the properties.
Okay.
Right? And then beyond that, we also have a team of realtors on our team as well. Right?
So you got the agents,
yeah,
you
so
got the contractors,
yes.
You got the marketing. So
yes.
So in talking with someone to JV with you, right? Mm-hmm. I think that's a huge key, because someone getting into the business, they got to learn how to find the deal, right? Yeah. And finding the deal's tough,
yes.
right? I would say that's probably one of the toughest things to do, is find what we consider a good deal, right?
True.
You want to buy under market value. It's not something necessarily you're going to find on the MLS. And you brought up a good point. You're bringing to the table off-market deals.
Yes.
And what that means, off-market means that it's not open to the public on the multiple listing service through a realtor. These are properties he's marketing and he's getting himself, which yes. That's cool.
That's the key. Yeah, that's the key.
To have the marketing aspect on the acquisition side help someone to JV with you, because now they're not looking out there to go look for a deal.
Yeah.
So then the next process is, and I would say is one of the hardest things too, is learning how to compute the numbers to know you got a good deal. So dive into that a little bit on how you know it's a good deal.
Yeah, so I mean, pretty much, and it's a formula, right? We call it the formula. I like to. Well, some people use it 75%, right? I like to use it 70%. I like to be a little more conservative, but it's a formula that we have on the investment side, and you basically calculate 70% of the ARV, which is your after repair value of the property, right? So let's say you have a property that's worth $1 million after repair, after ARV is $1 million. Yeah. So you would take 70% of that, which is 700,000, right? So out of that 700,000, once you go and visit the property, you're going to deduct whatever you feel as though are the repairs. So let's say we got repairs of 100,000, which leaves you 600,000. That's your maximum offer that you can make for that particular property. So again, we look at 70% of the ARV. Let's say we have $1 million. That gives us 700,000. We would take out the repairs. Let's say those repairs are 100,000. That would leave you with a balance of 600,000. That would be your maximum offer. So that's the equation. Yeah. So that's the equation we like, at least for us, that we like to use.
Absolutely. And every company, and I'm sure every person has a different formula that they use and compute. And, that makes it real simple, you know, and I think people who were just hearing that learned a lot about, just how to calculate a deal. Yeah. And once they get the value, circle back and you said it's the construction and then what your max offer is. And that's something that you teach, I would imagine.
As well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, the team, when we sit down, we have weekly meetings with our team as well.
Okay.
So we go through all the different areas. We go through the objections, like when our wholesale team or our acquisition team, when they're going out to try to, I want to say, acquire a property, right? Okay. Because it doesn't. I don't want to make it seem like this is easy, right? Because it's not, right? It's not.
If it was easy,
if it was, everybody would be doing it. So I don't want to make it seem like this is easy. But acquisitions, when they go out, what we call appointments, and they go out and meet a potential seller or potential client, they'll do a walkthrough. They'll look at the property. They get what we call an assessment. Okay. They make an assessment of the property. You look at what needs to be repairs, and that's some things you need to be trained on, because that's not something, again, you're paying for knowledge. You don't have knowledge. You're not going to just around and say, hey, well, you need to know, hey, how's the structure? How's the foundation? How are the windows? What are we looking at? You got to look at the different things that may need to be done. Pardon me. The roof. So it's different things that you look at within a property. So when we're doing those things, it's a little tough. It's not easy. A lot of times you hear people say, "Oh, this is 1, 2, 3." No, it's not 1, 2, 3 at all.
I think the misconception that people have is that real estate, because they see the dollars, they think it's easy, right? And I've been in the trenches as well as you have, and it's a lot of work to deal with the multiple facets of a project, right? Because you have the contractors, you have the real estate agents. A lot of that for you is in-house, which streamline everything, because you don't have to really go outside to get that stuff accomplished. Yeah. But no, this is really great stuff, and I'm glad we're seeing it today. So let's talk about 25, right? Just ended, and now we just start in 26. We're 2 months already into the first quarter. What's the goals really for Transform Group and Will over, in real estate?
I mean, it's really about growth.
Okay.
Just to be honest and transparent. It's about growth, but it's about smart growth.
Okay.
Right? Because sometimes you can get into the business and you start growing so quickly that you're not keeping things organized.
Right.
And that's really the key to growth.
Okay.
Is making sure you have the systems in place, making sure you have a team.
Yes.
Right? And that's one thing I will stress to everyone. If you're going to get involved in this business, definitely look at having a team. No one could do it by themselves. You have people, you may see someone in the forefront, and you say, well, this person, but no, there's definitely a team, because it takes all avenues, like you said.
So let's talk about the team. Who would you say are the top people to put on your team, and who should they look for starting out?
So starting out, you definitely, if you won't be a GC, so if you're not a GC, you definitely want a good contractor.
Okay.
attorney, right? You're going to definitely a real estate attorney, and not just your everyday. You need and when I say a real estate attorney, I mean an investor's attorney as well, because you have some who only just deal with just basic real estate and don't understand the game of investing.
Yep.
Right?
They're dealing with just the
everyday
sale, the purchase. They're not dealing with the investment strategy, right?
No.
And that's a different type
of
and
understanding JVs and all that's a different. So you definitely need a real estate attorney, right? So you're going to need, and then besides that, you got your construction side, you want a realtor if you don't have one in house, but you want to have a couple, two to three realtors that you trust,
absolutely,
as well, right? And that's not only on the acquisition side, but also on the sales side, right? Who's going to be able to give you sound advice on what is a true ARV, right? And at the end, but even in the beginning, when you're looking at a property, right, you still want to have an idea. Well, what's going to be the after repair value? Like, what is this house going to be worth after I make any repairs, right? Because it has to make sense. So you definitely need a good, 2 to 3 realtors that, can obviously help you in that area. Yeah. And if you're forming a complete team, then you want someone on the disposition side. You want a couple of accountants, so those key areas of the things that you're going to need.
So we said key 3 people were going to be real estate agent,
contractor, for sure, and
attorney.
Those are
So you heard it from Will. Those are starting out. Those are the first 3 that you really want to focus on. But however, like Will said, if you want to joint venture, you have that team in place.
Yes. Multiple
attorneys, I would imagine. In-house real estate.
It's a team.
It's a team.
Yeah, it's a team. But and again, something that we've built over time, just to be able to grow within a business. You have some people. Listen, I'm not saying that you necessarily have that you need a team.
Right.
But if you're looking to essentially grow, eventually you will want a team. Right.
Absolutely.
You may come into the business and say, hey, I want to do 1 or 2 flips a year, which is great. You can do it absolutely. Still going to need those 3 key people that we just spoke of.
I
definitely need those. But if you're looking to eventually, and you will eventually want to scale your business, then you're going to want a team, that's going to be able to handle, your growth.
So we talked about, you jumping from property management, fix and flip. How did you get into the new construction gig? Because, as I sit here and, you're about to build a 7,000 square foot house
crazy,
in a great area. You know what I mean?
Mansion, man.
That's definitely a mansion.
So, interestingly, right? Years ago, probably 2017. Somewhere around there, and again, was just doing renovations on the homes. It's basically cosmetics, just going in, maybe some new floors, new bathroom, kitchens, those things. What we call light work for us, right? So we were just doing those style of projects, renovations, and a gentleman introduced us, say, hey, listen, you might want to get into GUCs, which is what we call ground up construction. Right?
Yep.
And so I was like, that seems like a lot. He's like, well, if you're doing renovations, you can do ground up construction. It's going to take a little more, right? And obviously it's more work, more steps involved, but you absolutely can do it. And he said that once you do that, you're not going to want to go back. And you're right, you laugh because I laughed too. I laughed too when it was said to me, and I was like, all right, man, okay. But the reality is, once you get into ground up construction, once you start doing new construction, you really don't want to do what we call simple jobs. But it's part of the business, right? You still do them.
You want to do a little bit of everything.
Yeah, you want to do a little. Yeah, absolutely, keep that money flowing, because when you're talking about a renovation job, you may be talking about 90 days, you in and out, right? Versus ground construction, you can be talking 6, 7 months, 8 months. It depends on where you are and the size of the home and the factors, the inspections, different things. But so when you start looking at that, ground construction is like, whoo! I'm the type of person where I like to see it from the very beginning to what we built, the end, and being able to see the smile on someone's face when they say, this is my dream home. You've made someone's dream come true. Right? So for me personally, I can appreciate it.
Gotcha.
My team is probably saying this guy's talking crazy right now, right? But they know I love the ground up construction. But we do a little bit of everything. Listen, and that's keys of the business. Do a little bit of everything. And from here, like we say now, we're doing a massive, we call a mansion of 7,000, like over 7,000 square foot.
Right.
But we're going from there to go into what we call mixed use and commercial.
Okay.
where you're seeing, the buildings with maybe storefronts on the bottom. That's what you call mixed use.
Right.
So we're also going into that, and then into the commercial side where we're just doing, 50 to 70 to 100 units.
That is
awesome. So we're getting busy, man. So that's part of the growth. As you asked earlier, and I kind of didn't go all the way through with it, but when you asked earlier, talking about 26,
right,
that's part of the growth of 26 going into 27.
Got you, because you've done the rehabs, you've done the ground up, so it's like, listen, let me scale
next?
the game.
Let
me scale what's next. Okay, that sounds like Hova and what's next for me.
Like what's next?
Yeah, that's awesome. So one of the things that I find funny, because I do real estate as well, and the fix and flips, and it's for me, I like ground up, right? But I love finding that house that's dilapidated, and I love seeing that. Hey, this dilapidated house, and once it's finished, the people in the neighborhood, the people love that home because the people who saw it before, and now once it's finished, done. Do you get that same feeling?
Absolutely.
But you love ground up more?
But, you know what it is? Because, again, just for me personally, I just love the fact of we started from just dirt.
From dirt, okay,
right?
Got it. Yeah.
So you just started from dirt and now building up.
Yeah.
Right? And I get what you're saying, when you find a home that's dilapidated and you're able to renovate it and turn it into a masterpiece.
Yeah.
And being able to see that smile on people's faces, absolutely, it goes both ways, and especially when you're talking about a neighborhood where now you've appreciated the value for those surrounding homes. They love that, and they love the fact of, hey, listen, you're going to bring somebody in here that's hopefully going to make the neighborhood better as well.
Absolutely. So, and that's where I look at that, that dilapidated, that older house. And, it's almost like swinging a magic wand, and then boom,
man.
Here it is.
It's like painting a picture, man. It's like you're an artist, right? And you just painted a picture, and it's a beauty, it's a masterpiece. And then you look at it, and you're like, well, okay, now what is it going to be worth afterwards, right? Because for you may say it's worth X, right? And somebody else may, but again, it's just that it's the satisfaction, right? With real estate, it's a business. It's a business where, listen, it's like anything else. It's the old saying, you have to be able to be uncomfortable to have success, right? And real estate is a business of problem solving. It's always something that's going to happen, and you have to be able to problem solve and move forward. You can't complain. You can't go backwards. This is where we are today. All right, what are we going to do to move forward?
I like that. I think that's very key for anybody who wants to invest, is knowing how to be a problem solver, because like you just mentioned, you're going to have some type of problems, right? Whether it's with the construction, whether it's with the permitting department, all different types of things, from even when you go to sale and, appraisal could come in lower, or, the seller's looking for a concession, and, it's something to overcome. It's your own business. There's a lot of freedom with real estate, right? But you have a lot of work.
Yes.
So we talked about the growth for 26. What are you looking at, personal development wise? What are you doing for yourself personally, to keep strong? Because as those problems come up.
Interesting. So, and my wife she's always on me. But actually, I'm gonna tell you something she just set up for me the last 2 weeks is meditation.
Okay.
Right. So I just started that. It's going okay. So I'm not going to lie and sit here and act like, hey, I'm doing all the great meditation. But it's learning the process, right? So I'm learning that, and that's been helping to keep me calm.
Okay.
Going to the gym, just getting back in that mode. Just things, and having each day having what I call a little me time. Right?
Got it.
As everyone out here, we all have families, whether you have, your spouse, your husband, wife, your kids, your children, whatever the case may be, may even have a dog, whatever it is. But you have to have a little time to yourself to where you can just settle down away from the world.
So we were talking about, how do you balance everything, right? And people, our listeners don't know that you and I sit down and we talk some business strategy and stuff. But the reason that that's important, and I think balance is key, because you're working on how many projects right now?
Ooh, man, we got about 12 right now.
12 projects. Yeah. And how many more?
3 more coming. Three more. Yeah, so
right?
So we're busy.
So that's the balance that I'm talking about, right? Because I'm sure that you're busy. What's your work day look like?
Man, all right. You had to go there, huh? All right. So I'm up every morning around like 5:30.
Mm-hmm.
Leave the house about 6:30.
Okay.
Take the kids to school, drop them off. That's number one. Let me just speak on that real. I know we're talking business, but
Yeah.
family is first. For me,
absolutely.
family is first, absolutely. So my wife, my kids, that's number one priority. So I start out with the kids in the morning.
Right.
Kiss the wife. All right, I'm going. Take the kids, and then from there, I'm off and running. So it may be, and every day varies, but most of the days I'm visiting projects, seeing what's going on.
Okay.
Some days it may be meetings.
Okay.
Some days it may be calls. Like it just varies, but every day you're busy. And I may not get back in until 6 or 7 o'clock in the evening.
Okay.
And some days, and not all days, but some days, now I got to do some some work. I'm on a computer.
Nonstop.
Right? Yeah. So it's not, it's nonstop. So it varies. So you definitely have to be, and for everyone, just be prepared like anything else, any other business. You got to be prepared to make sacrifices, right? And like I said, listen, there's always a struggle. There's always being uncomfortable. It takes that in order to be successful, right? So that's the best way I can say it. You do those things that are necessary. So every day varies, but it's long days. Absolutely.
So you're doing 12-hour days.
Yeah. Yes.
As a CEO of Transform,
yeah. 14, 16 some days. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what it takes to be successful, And for the, people who are looking to get into business, or, the young people out there thinking about a, career choice, this would be a great avenue for them. But again, it's work. And, I think everybody would want to participate in real estate, maybe not to the degree of, 13 to 16 projects, because that's a lot.
Yes,
that's a lot.
yeah.
But, that my hat goes off to you with the success that you're having. The team you've put together, I've met a number of them, and amazing people. Amazing people. And I want to work with you on a number of projects, and be there to consult with you on the financing you need. Funds and flips, we take care of that. That's why we're funds and flips. We take care of the funding, and
that's right.
We flip
exactly. Key, right? That's and that's what it's all about. And like I know, going into any business, right? It's always, you have to have thick skin.
Yeah,
right? And what I mean by that phrase there is, you're going to have those who may try to deter you, right? And say, because it takes time.
Takes time.
Nothing comes overnight, right? Yeah. It's not like you say, I'm going to get into this real estate business, and all of a sudden it's like that. No, It takes time, right? And you're going to have your bumps. You're going to have your ups and downs. But it's how you overcome everything, right? And it's how you stay focused and how you push forward, right? I look at life and I look at business this way, right? If you're in a car, right, and you're looking at the rearview mirror, it's a small piece, right? So I look at that as where you are right now, and you can either look in that rearview mirror and look back, which is your past,
right,
or you can look at that windshield, which is huge, right? So I like to always stay focused on the windshield and look at a bright future. So whatever business you get into,
I think I'm gonna have to steal that. I love that.
Yeah, no, listen, hey, go with it, man, because it's really, if you really think about it that way, it's so true, right?
Right, absolutely.
Right, because you can get stuck where you are now, or you can go backwards,
right,
or you can just look at, hey, listen, I got a bright future, and this is what I want to do. Jumping into real estate is a great thing, but as you said earlier, it's work.
Yeah.
Right,
yeah.
Nothing is easy. If it was that easy, it'd be a million people doing it. Everybody be doing real estate, right?
Absolutely.
But one thing I can say about real estate, right? You have the 3 top money makers, which is, you got the tech world, right? You got the oil world, right? And you got real estate, right? And from the beginning of time to the end of time, you got to look at it this way: you're always going to need a roof over your head.
Yeah, that's true. That is very true.
So
I love the way you presented it. Loved having you on the show today. Tell me one key thing you're looking for, and then let everybody know how they could contact you.
Yeah, so for all of you out there, the key thing that I'm looking for is more business.
And when you say more business, is that more houses? Is that more people?
So a little bit of everything. It's a combination of all things, right? Mm-hmm. More people to join the team, right?
Okay.
More business, more real estate, right? Okay. To get into, to gain, right? And just growth overall, right? So, but for anyone that's looking to maybe do a joint venture, to get into the business, to learn the business, to figure out, hey, does this work for me? Does it make sense? Check us out. I'll give you our website, www.thetransformgroupnj.com is our website. Once again, www.thetransformgroupnj.com. Just take a look at us.
And with that website, people could find opportunities on there as well.
Yes, a great point. Thank you. Yeah, because I'm running my mouth and I'm talking too much. So appreciate that. But yes, on the website you'll see on the JV opportunities, right? You can see a list of properties that are possibilities for people to come in there who may be interested again in becoming partners. But not only financially, because I don't want you to think that, hey, it's just a financial thing. No. We want people to become partners for long-term relationships and want people to learn the business and grow with us.
Awesome.
That's the key.
That is awesome. Well, listen, this episode of God Mortgages, powered by Funds and Flips, is ending here. We thank you for being a guest today.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. And looking to do more business with you in 2026. And thank you so much.
Thank you, man. I appreciate your time.
Appreciate you as well.